Some political scholars and other jokers are trying to say that what does it matter with that square in Turkey that is causing this big revolution? I call it a revolution already because I know the politicians are holding out, and of course they're going to move on with it. Now, Taskim Square in Turkey is just one of the games that the Muslims are playing. I call the Spring Revolution games of Uproar. And in psychology, I think it was who wrote games people play? Barney Harris, I think. One of them psychology. I read a book in high school. Yeah, you have this girlfriend or this wife or whatever, and you want to end the relationship. You find a nice way to do it. For example, you might tell her, baby, look, I know it's snowing out there, I know it's a hurricane, but remember we have this date, we have to go out and eat at this restaurant, okay? See ya. And you wait till the restaurant, or you might not even gone. She called back to say, I can't come, no, it's too dangerous. Or you say, you know what, something, listen, I know you don't love me, listen, this relationship is over. Or it might be that you're gonna want to get rid of her again. You're gonna say, look, let's try some kinky sex. Oh, you don't love me, this and that, or whatever. I believe that from the start I was saying that there's no spring revolution about no democracy and capitalism. It's just wanting something which it would be like a pie in the sky, like a mirage, like a facade, something that they think that, it's just something to throw up at people, maybe the West, to get the West excited and juices flowing, and so yes, our stuff is good, and boys want it in the Middle East. Nah, I said from the start that even white folk don't understand democracy and capitalism. It's something that's dying. It dies proportionately or directly to the level of voodoo that pervades the land. Democracy and capitalism, in my view, came strong during Christian Reformation. After that, it's like one man, one vote. We compete for this political position. After it's over, one love, support you. Next term around, do the same. Capitalism, I give you my money to invest on something, you do just what I ask you ask for a reasonable return, no scams, no inside trading, none of that stuff. But as people become evil, all that is kind of going away. So that these folks in the Middle East, they purportedly want this democracy and capitalism. But the real picture is this, and you have to have a broad education to understand this. The world is on the verge of a stupendous crisis, my favorite author says. Perhaps the last in history, perhaps the greatest in history. I think it's the last in history. And the Bible also says that there's coming a time of trouble such as never was. So this is what they're precipitating here. When the whole Middle East, all these governments fall, and all these people just getting up every day and doing something strange, don't want to work and everything, and the economies collapse, then they're going to be in some serious problems. Now, they were hoping that by now Europe and North America might have been going through the throes of this thing because we got the sit-ins. And I brand the sit-ins as just as the Spring Revolution. They just call it a different name. But I was listening to a professor and another person from Turkey, and we were discussing it, and they were calling it a sit-in, which is just like Occupy. You know what I mean? But the guys up here, they seem to don't like our capitalism and democracy. They're saying that it's these politicians that cause the economic problem, and they don't understand what caused the problem. Part of it is because the government be giving these white folks here, a good life. They write a proposal, they want to turn that park into a little garden, give them 150,000, and they're gonna produce crops that are gonna just sell for like $60, and all that money, and they have given themselves 6 figures, and they got big cars and drive down the road, and when they see me recycling, they watch me and like, you're nobody. That's the kind of game that's going on here. So now that things get that tight, they're coming back now and blame the government for these economic problems. So they're just using the square as the flashpoint. No, the government in Turkey, it seems to me, is trying its utmost to avert this by trying to start a little war with Syria. And maybe they will kill off these same folks here who kind of doing this revolution now and hurt some of them so bad and giving them the post-traumatic stress syndrome and all that, so they can't even, try to get rid of the government. I also think that Turkey becoming a part of NATO, it is kind of like, I don't understand why it was done, but like it's something that has to do with the future, and we can see as we go along what will happen. Now, I don't know if NATO has given weapons to Turkey to, do the NATO thing. So they might have to go and secure that, because I think it's just a matter of time. I think it's over. I think Turkey is going to be added on to the line, and they were willing to help the rebels to overthrow the government. Now their turn's coming, and it's like, okay, all right. So if it wasn't the square, it would be somebody blow themselves up because they were denied something, like in the first country of the Spring Revolution there. Wasn't it this guy who burned himself, lighted himself on fire, and that started it? So there's no nothing they're gonna, anything could start it. There could have been an accident in the street, somebody perceived to do whatever and cause some problem, and then it escalate into something. The world is on the verge of a stupendous crisis, and the enemy. You see, I've been saying all along that the West, Northern Muslims, is the enemy. The enemy is controlling both sides. He's controlling NATO and he's controlling these Arabs. And then he conveniently brings them together to smash. I mean, these Muslims can't beat NATO, but they could get them a little long-term thing, a little 50 years war, and then when finish the bankrupt. And, when some of them get bankrupt, the whole world collapse, and everybody, and then we go into that phase of you can't buy or sell except you have to market a piece and so on. You know what I mean? So you got to understand this is where we're heading. So that is just a game these folks are playing, man. I'm looking to see some others who are going to start their little thing. Now this is similar to the square in Egypt, but it doesn't have to be a square. It could be anything.